Hi, how's it going? So I've been a little hard to reach for a couple of weeks or so. Um, I have not been very communicative with a lot of people who are my friends and my community on YouTube, and there is a very big reason for that. I am upset. I'm not a very happy guy right now. I'm currently out in my backyard in my shop, where I have my motorcycles, I have my tools, things that make me happy, that have been elevating my soul in a time of spooky darkness, especially in the wintertime. It's a really good point to want to make sure that you're taking care of yourself, your mental health. It's easy to get extra gloomy when it's cold out. So, why am I so unhappy? Well, because the anti-vaxxers won. They won. We lost. That's really what it comes down to. That's not really like that's not really a doomer statement either. It's objectively true. It's objectively true. Anti-vaxxers are now in the White House, and not just Trump with his dumb fuck ideas of, hey, little baby gets a vaccine, riddle with autism. Not like that, but Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has been confirmed. He's now the head of the NIH, Health and Human Services. There you go. The worst case scenario, the thing that I was most worried about, and have been most worried about since I think the third video on my channel, has happened. Here we are, right? And people want to downplay this moment in history, and they want to try and find some way to get a silver lining about what's happening. And I think that's a mistake. I think that's a very big mistake, because that's how we got where we are now. We, for way too long, have just simply allowed people to say things that we know are factually untrue. And we have allowed these people to effectively dumb down our country, our dialogue, each other, to the point where now we have a roadkill-eating brain parasite monster in charge of our health, over 300 million people's health. So this is the worst case scenario. And I'm not here to tell you that, we got a shot. No, I'm here to tell you how bad it's going to get. Hopefully, so you can then explain to the people who are responsible for this why this is going to happen, okay? So here's how bad things are going to get. We've already seen declining vaccination rates, and we've seen the climbing rates of vaccine-preventable diseases being contracted in this country. We've seen the first new cases of polio in a while. Polio, of all things. Meanwhile, some of these dipshits are saying, well, the polio vaccine's a bad thing. Sure, Jan. Measles are starting to have outbreaks. And the thing is, we are so used to, in the modern world, things having like an immediate reaction, like a thing happens and then you see the result and blah, blah, blah. And this very narrow-minded perspective is why you have people like complaining about the economy or gas prices in the immediacy, and not really looking at how long it takes for things to change or where those initial effects came from. People who are complaining about their taxes, for instance, under Biden, did not realize that they were following the tax plan instituted by Trump in his first term. But we don't think about that, so most casual people will just blame Biden for it, which there's a lot to blame Biden for. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a real big fan. But here's the thing. We won't see immediately a massive, massive outbreak of measles. What we're gonna see is whatever effects that RFK Jr. plans to institute, and he does, because he hates vaccines. He is an anti-vaxxer. Make no mistake, I don't care what he said on stand, he is an anti-vaxxer. This has all been a ploy. All of it. I guarantee you. I guarantee you. So in the coming years, we're going to see massive outbreaks, and we're going to see a lot of people die. A lot of kids die. And the kids that don't die are going to go blind. Measles will eat their optic nerves. Yep. With less mitigation to a lot of different infectious diseases, they will mutate, they'll become more virulent, they'll become endemic, and we will overall become a sicker country. It doesn't matter if we're eating more fruits and vegetables if we're dead. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And we're not going to necessarily pay attention to it happening all at once. It's only when we are in the middle of it, when it's too late to do anything, kind of like COVID, when we realize that there was something we could have done and we can actually see where this came from. But I'm telling you now what will happen, because that's how it works. People have to get their heads around this idea that this is the worst part about the Trump presidency. This and climate change. Because you can't sue a disease. You can't impeach a disease. You can't subpoena climate change. These are things that are beyond our control. We can only impact them, affect them, but we can't argue them out of being or existing or doing what they do. You can't argue the temperatures down. Okay? These are existential threats to our entire way of life, our entire society, and they are going to happen because of what's going on right now. And so we're to be completely brutally honest, we're fucked. And the other thing that we aren't paying attention to as Americans is how this is going to impact the world. Not just us, but the world. Because viruses don't know borders. They don't. International travel is still a thing. But if we become a plague factory, we might see ourselves having to be isolated from the world. Forcibly. It's entirely within the realm of possibility. I mean, people were saying they didn't want any travel to and from China during the whole COVID epidemic. What happens if the flashpoint of virulent infections for measles or rubella or whatever happens to be the United States? We're cut off. That's the only thing they can do, because they can't force us to vaccinate. Or climate change. What happens if we refuse to take part in the global effort to combat climate change, which is a real thing and is impacted by human behavior? How do they get us to stop? Violence? The world is going to now have to figure out how to live without the United States, because they're not participating anymore. Trump is embracing a type of isolationism that we haven't seen since the 30s. It is insane. And it's dangerous. And while all this goes on, you're going to have your money stolen by the world's richest man. Yeah. Your friends and family who are veterans or disabled children, maybe just having trouble making ends meet. Maybe they're in agriculture and suddenly the subsidies are being taken away. All of these ways in which, good morning, all the ways in which our lives are enriched by our tax dollars, we're not going to get that anymore. Instead, our tax money is going to go to Elon Musk, which it already has been. Every electric car that he sells, we help pay for it. Every rocket he launches that blows up, we paid for it. He uses our money. That's why he's so rich, is because he leveraged tax dollars, the incentives, subsidies from the government for electric vehicles, for SpaceX. Like, this is our money. And so we're just going to eat shit, give our money to Elon Musk, and we're going to get sick, and the world is going to slowly cook. Yeah. So, why have I not been very active lately? Shit's fucked up, man. It's not great. It's pretty bad. And if any of this bothers you, I would really recommend getting real loud about it. As loud as possible. The louder the better. Let this radicalize you. Because all these things that people were warning you about for years and years, not like real warning. It's not like these, hey y'all, Patriot Nurse Hair, the globalist, Illuminati, blah blah, Freemason, blah blah blah, like all that shit was fake. But all the things about, hey, scientists are telling you, climate change. Doctors are warning you, vaccines. You know, the people that actually knew what they were talking about. They were right. And now we're in the worst case scenario. Act accordingly. Good luck.